Hello, I'm King Rhodes TN, and this is my submission for Awesome Games Done Quick 2024. So here we go. The game that we're going to be playing today will be Eminem's Shell Shocked for the PlayStation 1. We're going to be playing this on the PS2. This will be the any percent category. However, I will also add an incentive for like all cutscenes. So essentially, instead of just skipping the cutscene, you let the cutscene play since they all have like original voice actors. It's a pretty cool thing to have. But this will do as an any percent run where it's just beat the game as fast as you can. So let's get going here. We start once we go on play. So Eminem Shell Shock. This is a super interesting game. All right, this is a essentially what people will call a Crash Bandicoot clone. All right. So what happens is most of the time, well, the entire time you're playing is yellow, and most of the time there are platforming stages. However, the first 3 levels of the game are going to be these car stages. These car stages here, you're just yellow. And you're essentially on a rail, and you just have to avoid, dying. So all the obstacles are always in the same place. The cars always have the exact same movement, boxes, all that kind of stuff there. So hitting boxes, all they do is collect Eminem minis. So essentially, what would happen here is you get 100 minis, you get a free life. Lives in the speedrun at this point do not matter. We don't take any intentional deaths. And dying here doesn't. Dying always loses us time. However, we will not die enough to the point where you ever have a life count that's kind of an issue. Different color boxes give you different amounts of minis, but again, that doesn't really matter. Those blue things on the ground you saw that we just passed over were checkpoints, so we're going to see a bunch of those in every stage. We want to get to those because if you do die, if we take a random death that is unintentional, then we get to spawn back at that section there. So in this stage, again, there's not anything to super speed up. In some of the car areas, what happens is there's actually some jank. So this game is super, super janky, incredibly janky. So this part right here, there's an invisible wall that little bus can push out, and for some reason, sometimes that wall can go really, really, really far out, and you can just randomly die like in a spot that you should not die at. And there's another driving stage that there's kind of a similar instance where you're just driving straight and you would just die, and you're just like, what the heck is going on here? All right. So yeah, we're getting very close to the end of the first car stage. So once we go in this little tunnel here, we go off to the right hand side, and that is stage 1. So each of these stages have some nice little names as well. And they're all like whatever stage 1, 2, 3. Off the top of my head, not looking at this here. But the next stage, we're like in the little wilderness section here. So we see the first instance of these motorcycles. These motorcycles are freaking massive. I don't know what's going on here, but these cars are humongous. They don't even fit on the road there. They're crazy here. So this is, I think, the harder of the 3 stages, in my opinion, just because you have some tight turns here. And these turns, some of the cars make some, like, unless you know they're coming, which we do because they're in the exact same order every single time, that they come through. It can be kind of hard to dodge some of these things, especially early on. You will take tons of deaths coming through here, but there's not any tons of crazy movements when you're going through this here. It's kind of pretty basic. That's a very tight section there. Like, you have to come on that far left, and there's a wall there. We go uphill. You do speed up a little bit for whatever reason, but it's not nothing intentional. We have to hit this brown box here. It gives us a power up, gives us a spring. So we hit the ramp. We spring to the bottom of the little hill there, cover the ramp, and that is stage number 2. So we're getting these level names is Get Out of Town because we were trying to leave where we were at, and we were trying to get to the Eminem's factory, which is where the entire game ends up taking place. So now, in the third stage, we're like on this like little dirt road here, and we're working our way to the thing. Now that is one giant cow. That cow was just creating havoc. Its head is ginormous from here. So these motorcycles can be very, very annoying here. I do have to go left or right a little bit excuse me there, because when they swerve around, if you go left and right a lot, you do slow your speed down a little bit. And if I don't do that, we're actually going too fast, and we will hit this cycle of the motorcycles, whatever they're doing. So they're doing like their tricks and stuff, going around in circles. You'll actually end up clipping some of the motorcycles if you just go straight the entire time, like that guy there. So I'm making sure I'm going left and right, so I'm dodging his like movement there, so he's not just sitting there right in front of me. Cuts me off, and he would hit me there. He can run into the side of me, and I would still die, and all that kind of stuff there. So we try to dodge that all together. All right. So now we're going through. We're still cruising. We go for some ramps. We're just kind of driving here, and we're getting pretty close to the end of this stage as well. So this part here, these motorcycles go left and right. We're going to hit this ramp. We're going to go over. We're going to hit this last ramp over the gates. And then there is nothing but open roadways finally as we drive all the way up to the gold M&M statue there. And we have reached the M&M's factory. Let's go. So now we are in our first stage, our first platforming stage, okay? So when I said this is a Crash Bandicoot clone, I did not exaggerate that this is a Crash Bandicoot clone. So we play as Yellow. Yellow jumps and spins. That's his moveset. We have a double jump, essentially. And then you have your just spinning motions there. Alright. Not even double jump. You can kind of like get jumps off the boxes, but it's not a pure double jump. So all those things there that do kill, that is like little milk, I guess, that kills you. If I walk on that chocolate, I will die. Hitboxes are super jank, so this game is just a chaotic mess, to be honest. But it's so much fun to speedrun because anything can happen at literally any time. And there's still stuff, I guarantee you, that we have not seen in this game happen. Just like random bull, and you're like, wow, that game just broke. Alright, so in this stage, we had our first, well, we've seen these kind of crates, I explained before, kind of. We got red bomb crates. And we have green danger crates. So, you know, red is a TNT from Crash, and green is the nitro crates. They're exactly the same. Treat you the exact same purpose here. So as you can also see in the bottom right-hand corner, we got a helmet power-up. The brown boxes gives us power-ups as we got the end of the car stage in the second one. So we have a helmet power-up. The helmet power-up allows us to take damage one time without dying. So essentially our mask. However, you cannot stack helmets. So there's nothing that you can do to actually stack what we're getting here. Alright, so now we're going to get this here. Also, some of the brown boxes give us, say we had a helmet there. They give you little like Mars bar pieces as well. They can take you like a special stage. We don't do that. And there's also a spring power-up that you saw that helped us get in the car. And then we have a speed shoes power-up that we will access a few times in a couple stages. But we just run to the end, and that is the end of the first platforming stage. Right there. So now we are entering stage 2. So this is done on the PS2, so I kind of alluded to that there a little bit. We're playing on the PS2 because we want to play using the FDS, the fast disk speed. So it increases load times by like 2.5 to 3 minutes. And that still varies, I think, a little bit by PS2. I put in the PS2 Slim. I know there's like a PS version that's a little bit faster, but those are a little more expensive as well. So here we go. We have the spring and we have the helmet power up now at the same time. The spring is only a temporary, so it makes us jump really high. It kind of makes us a little bit floaty for what we are here. So we hit that box. We just keep going, dodging these enemies here. The enemies are always in the same spot, always the same kind of movement here for the most part. There is no RNG in this game, which is super nice. We got the moonwalking. We call it the Michael Jackson robot, just kind of moonwalking back and forth. We jump over here just for no reason other than just to kind of do that. Now, this section here can be a little tough because those little sections there, they don't want to work. You can't just jump over it cleanly. You have to be as far to the right. We get the speed shoes finally, and there we go. We're flying around. We're going to use our only instance here. We're going to run up here to the left. It allows us to access like a special little area there. And we missed it. We took a fat L there. That is super unfortunate. Good thing we passed a checkpoint, which is just right next to us. So we're going to jump on this platform here all the way up to the top left, and we just kind of jump down there. A bunch of boxes. Jump to this section here, and it puts us out at the end of the stage. So it's much faster than going in there. I just missed the jump, so it's not like the end of the world, but it is what it is. All right. So in this game, you have basically 2 stages, and then normally the 3rd stage is some type of boss fight. Some of the boss fights are, I guess, easier than others, like most games. So this boss fight here, what's supposed to happen is you see on the right-hand side, there's those little chocolate sections. So we're supposed to actually go over these chocolate pieces here. And then we're supposed to hit this boss. So this is like just a green, spiky robot. So what we're actually going to do here, instead of that, we're going to run all the way, and we're going to get on the left-hand side of that thing, hanging off the edge, and we're just going to jump across. The door is already open. However, when you beat the boss, it drops on a platform, but instead, we just do that and win. All right, so you can run right across there. And this is my favorite cutscene that we get to skip, though. It's Oh Shoot, and the level's name is Oh Shoot. These are some of the more annoying stages, to be honest, because you're on a conveyor belt the entire time. So that is kind of unfortunate from what you're doing, because momentum in this game is super janky, and especially now that you have momentum that's working against you and for you throughout the actual stage platforming, it can make it pretty challenging for what you're doing. But we're going to jump around that robot. We don't want to get hit by that, even though we have the helmet. When you get hit, when you have the helmet, you can get shot in multiple directions. Your momentum can completely come to a complete still. It can be, as we said, super janky like anything else. So taking damage is still, we want to avoid that at all costs, even if you have this, because you can get shot forward, and it's very insane. So the goal to help speed this up a little bit is just get on the edges. The edges, you have a little less of the pull backwards on you. Also, we can jump, and jumping will help a little bit, but a lot of times, whatever ground you are on, when you jump in this game, it keeps that momentum in the air. So if I have this conveyor belt coming against me and I jump, I have momentum against me in the air. But if the conveyor belt was pushing forward when I jump, I get launched forward when I jump. We'd be jumping a ton right now if the conveyor belt was getting pushed the other way right now. So what's going to happen here is we're just going to keep going through. We're going to skip. We're not going to skip that. We skipped that checkpoint on accident. So that ground there, that blue ground, is actual death. However, we try to get that checkpoint. We miss it just in case, because this section can be really unfortunate. Our momentum is actually kept from the conveyor belt. So it can be really, really tough. And sometimes you can actually just phase through those boxes if you're not precise with your jumps. So getting that checkpoint's important, because if not, you die. You lose like over a minute just going backwards. I land on the green danger crate or nitro crate because I have the helmet power up to help just speed up that process there. Jump over those. Boom. And the section Oh Shoot numero uno is complete. But of course, like I said, now we are on here, and yeah, we are going to go forward to Oh Shoot number 2. So this one here, we're going to jump around that first enemy, jump around. We're going to hit this box, which gives us the spring power up, which helps us on this conveyor belt a little bit to traverse a little bit more. But as you can see, when I jump, I kind of have a little bit of momentum caught up in the air, but it helps get past some of these enemies because they can be super finicky for hitting them on the conveyor belt. We grab that checkpoint there. That nitro crate can be very, very challenging to get by because the way it just jumps out. And again, when you're on the conveyor belt, stuff's weird. We want to get that enemy death here, walk through this gate. As we keep going, that guy jumps out. We're going to get this thing here. He's going to throw us a box. We're going to jump off the sign to the right. This little mosquito-looking guy we're going to kill. This guy runs from us. Then he's going to come attack us because the other thing's there. We're going to skip that checkpoint because the end of the stage is right here. We just stay on the right-hand side. Make sure we kill the enemy. Going around. Reach this ending little section here, and boom, we finished Oh Shoot number 2. Now we're on to the second boss that we're going to play, and this is actually the easy one, the third, it's an easy boss. All you're going to do is run forward. However, to maximize time, what you're going to do is we're going to stutter step. So we're going to hit the first 2 boxes perfectly, and then we're going to stutter step. When we run in the box, it's going to, actually, I'm sorry, the third box, then we stutter step a little bit, because of the way the guy goes. So there I stutter. So now when the boss runs up, that box will blow up perfectly on the enemy. Now, if I were to go too fast, the box actually would not blow, or the boss would not get to the box in time, and you'd miss a hit. Also, interesting fact about this stage is when you come through, if a box were to blow up, if I kept running after killing the boss, the box would blow up, and the explosion would happen directly behind me when the stage starts. I have actually died because the box blows up as soon as I get teleported. For some reason, they kept the box animation there. The box hitboxes, they teleported with us, and I blow up immediately, and you die, and you got to redo the stage. But yeah, that's the boss there. So now we're on to Old Colors. I think it's called Old Colors or Candy Colors. That's the name of the stage, Candy Colors. So this stage has a unique or a cool little strat early on. We're going to grab some speed shoes coming up here. And then we're going to hopefully not die. That's the key there. So we're going to run right through the middle. And you can see we're all the way pushed up. So this is me just knowing where the enemies are at. Jumping over the boxes there. And getting that checkpoint is clutch. Because if I were to die, I at least get that spot there. But as you can see, we skipped almost halfway through the next checkpoint coming through there. So as you can see, this thing was candy colors. There's lots of colors on this. There's going to be colored cannons that we're going to have as well. To have to dodge in other parts here. But this is very much a paint essence there. So if I hit any kind of colors, I do die. So there's the section here. So I want to be when I get through there, you want to be a little bit to the right. And then as you jump in there, you move left into the box and go left. So here's the cannons here. If we're on a good cycle, we don't have to slow down at all. So as we're going, we just sneak by and then to slow up very nice. So that means we're on the fast cycle. Here we're going to be on the inside and we're just going to run through that, jump off of the TNT crate. And then we're going to run the inside here again. If we run here, we're kind of off the ledge. The paint cannot hit us if we're this far off the ledge. Now if you're too far left, we will just walk into the ground and kind of like die. So yeah, we are good there. Another thing, we want to be on these forward moving platforms. Again, the momentum in the air carries over. So if I was on the one going backwards, I would get stuck in the air. That way it kind of launches me. We go down the hole and bing, bang, boom. We're done Candy Colors number 2. So now we're moving into Candy... I'm sorry, that was Candy Colors 1. Now we're going to Candy Colors 2. I was getting ahead of myself. This stage has some more of that like platforming area where we're going to like kind of run off the edge here. A lot more cannons in this level here as well, and a lot of this section here where we're going to go through here. I don't know why they made this section on the bottom. I'm not even running on the edge. I'm literally just running on the bottom there, and you just can't get hit. That happens like 1 or 2 more times. Again, we want to get on these platforms pushing forward. Good cycle to where it's shot. I didn't have to wait. If you do that good, you do not have to wait there at all. Again, we're running along the side. The paint cannot hit us no matter where we're at. Now we got to jump over the holes of paint. This Nitro crate can be super challenging. I got to jump a little early, but we clear that over. Another checkpoint in another section here. I grabbed that brown box because it's a helmet just in case. Now, if I get hit here, though, I will most likely die even with having the helmet because that would just shoot me off to the side. So I just kind of don't worry about that there. Even though I get it just in case, you never know, but it can be tough. Now we're getting to the last part of the stage. We're going to jump on top of these boxes to go up and over everything. Going through the middle. We're going to skip over this spot here. We're going to skip that checkpoint because we don't need it because the ending is just right here. So we get on this. Make sure the platform is going forward when we jump. Jump over, land on the 100 crate, get in there. And there's Candy Colors number 2. And now we're on this next boss stage. Alright, this next boss fight here. So, this boss fight is one of these boss fights to where you can do a skip. But as like I've done this, the skip only saves a little bit of time. It can be very finicky. The skip allows me basically to just jump over the door. However, if I do this perfectly here, we get the boss and the max amount of like hits that you can get. So it doesn't really matter by not kind of doing that, because the skip just means I run to the door and I jump onto the left side there, and it allows me to like basically jump over the door. Alright, but that was just really, really fast, perfect boss fight, and now we're moving to Stampin' and Sortin' 1. Alright, so I believe these have some of the longest stages in the game, outside of the last area here. So on this one, we gotta be careful on this first part. So here, if we go too fast down these ramps, we can actually face through the ground. And the same thing coming up here. If we were to jump off this platform coming up right to our left here, if we were to jump through that, we can actually jump through this platform. So we got to be careful on how we jump and make sure we get close enough to it so the game almost like loads in. Otherwise, it's like the platform's not even there and I just die. Similar to here, if I go too fast down here, I can just like completely miss the boxes, or completely just like, oh yeah, those boxes don't exist. We go through them again. So this game again, we talk about jank. There is some serious jank. But we know about a lot of the jank, so we're hoping to dodge that. This cycle here, we can beat it very nice. We can just hold left and go. Same thing here. I can just hold right and should be able to get through it. I can land up on this platform here. I want to be able to land when that box gets dropped so I can walk right off. One of those platforms is good, one of those platforms is bad. We take intentional damage boost because we're at the very end. Get hit in the head, boom, beat it. Stamina Sorting number 1 is complete. Which moves us into the second one. And again, I believe the second one's a pretty long stage here. I can't fully remember how this looks. I think it's the thing. Yes, this is the one. So this is a long stage here. So there's a couple of cycles. We can't actually get this first cycle here. So we're just going to hold all the way right and just keep going. We're going to try not to stop the entire time. We're going to bounce out these boxes over this gap. You're just hitting one of the boxes there, and we just can't grab that thing. So I held right off the bat, and you saw that I didn't make the platform. You cannot make that cycle. We're going to take a risk here, and we're going to skip that checkpoint. If we were to die on this next part up here, then we have to go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. So we end up taking damage off of one of these sections here. It's kind of hard to dodge. We're still holding right. Dodge some TNT crates, dodge some enemies. We can spin those guys, spin this guy, jump on this platform, and the next checkpoint is just right up here. So we cleared the section, didn't take a death, didn't lose a ton of time because of that, so very nice. We're on this here. Once it starts moving, I can just walk off because that platform is below us, so we know where it's at. We know where this next platform here, so we can jump. We can just hold right, and we can keep going. Some of those things drop crates, some of those things don't, so we know which ones do and which ones don't. And if we hold a left enough in there, we can kind of almost dodge those as well. Hit the next green spot. So again, we're going back to the left again. So this whole section is left, right, left, right, left, right. Going all the way through that there. All right. We got an inspection here. It pushes us forward coming up. This next spot's coming up. We're just going up, and then we're going to go up to the right. Get a checkpoint there. Dodge more of these nitro crates. We're going to get on this box. We're not going to run off yet. We're going to run off here in a second, so we're going to run right a little bit more here. Get on this platform, hold down for like 3 seconds, and then walk off. That allows that bottom in the screen to scroll up. If you go too fast, then you'll actually die there. But we did not miss the checkpoint, so we took a really unfortunate death there because the checkpoint's to our right, but since we just thought we can get past it, we just went too fast. So we're going to land, make sure we're going to land, get the checkpoint this time. So if I do take an unfortunate death, which I do again, this time we have the checkpoint here. So we're going to wait for that nitro crate this time to go down. We were trying to go too fast, and we kept getting on the wrong cycle. All right. So we're up. So again, this is Stamina Sorting number. This is a long stage. Those little buttons there are actually that you'll take damage on as well. Keep going through here, breaking all these crates. This is the last little section. We got a helmet, so we should be good. We walk right on down and into the little hole, little vortex, and we finally beat Stamina Sorting number 2. So now we have our next stage here. So our next boss is essentially just an auto-scroller, kind of. So the guy pushes you forward, however, like you're just running left and right. So this is almost not even an auto-scroller. It's basically just normal platforming. So the faster I can, hold left. So essentially, I just don't want to stop moving left. You get to the end of the spot. So this has 3 sections. You hold left all the way, then you're going to hold right all the way, then you hold left all the way. When you get to the end, you just win. Once we don't actually ever see the boss outside of when the section starts each time. So we see the boss like come out, and then we never see the boss again because we just end up holding right and we just get too fast forward. You can do some speed tech with these platforms here. As long as I jump off of those platforms, I do get my launch. As you can see, I do get a little bit more momentum. As well as jumping upstairs, the way it works, I can jump up some stairs a little bit faster by just holding jump up there. And he kind of clips in the stair below it, which actually launches me a little bit higher. We're going to keep going. Hopefully we don't keep stopping. We did get another helmet after we lost one, which is really nice. We're going to go up here. Got to be careful because those boxes sometimes are all the way to the left. So you can actually kind of screw that up. So again, these have little pushers with exclamation points on them. We can get pushed forward as well as you take damage. So getting pushed forward can kill us. If you don't have a helmet, you will take damage and die instantly there as well. So we're going to hopefully not take damage through here because again, that momentum, if we do, would be super, super janky when we're on this like side-scrolling 2D looking section here. So we're going to keep going. We're getting very close to the end. We're going to get launched off those platforms. Give us a little tiny speed boost. off of these boxes, and then when we get in there, we just spin up in the air for whatever reason, and we beat Stampin' and Sora at number 3.
Bring us down just a little bit these next levels. Time saving.
So now we move to Pack It In. We've got 9 more stages, 6 more or technically 4 more platformings, a couple of vehicle stages, and we've got a couple more boss fights. So here we got this. The difficulty starts to ramp up right here. The last 3 stages are significantly the hardest, or last 2, but the difficulty here definitely ramps up. We've got these red and black enemies, robot guys. They kind of move along with you, which can be really troubling. Combination of different platforms, different conveyor belts. It's gonna be in moving platforms here. Like we have not seen these. So these physics are super weird with this. So if the platform is moving up, I get shot really, really high in the air, and you always reach like the same maximum height. If the platform is moving down when I jump, I lose all the momentum and I get almost no height whatsoever. So I always want to wait for the platform to be moving up before I make my next jump, so that way I maximize my height. That enemy's on that conveyor belt there. We got the perfect cycle there. We take damage on purpose. It's much faster than just kind of waiting for that guy to blow those boxes up. We have a helmet. Let's use it. Don't have to wait at all. So now we're going through here. We keep going. We got the checkpoint. We're moving forward. We got this thing here. That guy goes all the way to the right for us. Then we go ahead and break this down here. Break these boxes. Jump over that. We can take damage if we need, as we have a helmet, but otherwise we are good. We just keep pushing forward. We get the enemy at the end of the stage and into the portal, and we're good. And that is Pack It In number 1, and now we're moving on to Pack It In number 2. So we would have a bunch of donations to be right, basically in the last 3 conveyor belts, or the last 3 vehicle stages when we do this. That's when we have some donations, so we definitely have time to mix that in. Especially, we would do that if we'd have a cutscene percent run. So a little bit more of the same type of enemies in Pack It In 2. We can be on this conveyor belt as well when we're going through this here. We want to be on this, and we want to jump as much as we can, because again, we get launched forward with the momentum. We have a bunch of platform cycles we're going to try to catch. It's going to be, they're definitely pretty tight, so let's see if we can get a couple of them coming up. As you can see, a bunch of TNT crates, a lot more hazards in this stage than there had been before. So we got here, this guy kind of goes left and right similarly every time. You kind of have to bait him to like fake left, almost like juke him out, like I'm going left, I'm going right. Same thing here. He's always on that same kind of pattern. He like hovers in the middle, goes left, hovers in the middle, goes right. So I have to see where he was at when I got there to know then where he's going to move next to jump the opposite direction. Again, jumping on that platform here. Now this section here, you die on purpose or only intentional death, because it resets these cycles here to where I can just hold forward and go. If I don't do that, and I have to wait on multiple platforms versus barely waiting right there, and there's a good chance that if I were to keep jumping from that first one, I would actually make that jump and we'd be good to go. So that was more a safety than just trying to go super, super fast there. So now we make this platform here. We get able to make that. We just actually missed it. We would have been super close. If we would have jumped when it was moving in the air, we actually would have missed it. So we're at the very end here. So now I'm going to wait for that again. I'm going to wait for this platform to go up just a little bit, because then I'm able to get there. If I waited when it was going down, I wouldn't make that jump and you die. We get in this little weird janky looking portal thing, and then we're good. So now we're on this next boss fight. So this next boss fight here is super easy. However, there's a little bad part for this. So my goal ultimately for this is if I got this accepted to do GDQ or a bigger marathon, then I would learn this part blindfolded. Not that this is like a crazy hard part, but you'd have the pattern memorized and just kind of know like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, move to the right, 1, 2, 3, like. So I would try to do this blindfolded or just go looking, turn around, see if we can do it type of thing. For that. Now there's one glitch that we've only seen one time in this game that I've seen. So a fellow speedrunner by the name of Violin SR, or just Violin, had got this to where the camera stopped following the vehicle. So it was like after like a third crate, the vehicle just kept going and the camera didn't. So that initially made me just even want to learn like the speed, like learn the blindfolded track. So if that were to ever happen in a run, you could at least be like, okay, well I at least know how to do this, and I should be able to get to the end. And I wonder what would happen if the camera didn't keep panning. If you were able to end up beating that without it, but you end up normally dying right away after the fact, just because how that works.
Yeah, I don't know how. Split late and impacted.
So now we are in Warehouse Woes, which is our next vehicle section. All right. It's in our next vehicle part of the game here. So then we can just keep going through this. These are some lengthy long levels. But I would definitely ask for some donations. So like during this here, I would talk about like the intro, like, hey, we have these moving platforms, we have moving enemies. We just kind of go left and right. Again, we just want to be able to go straight as long as possible with as less swerving as we can, and just don't take any damage from that. And if you don't do that, then you're good to go. And honestly, throughout this, I would essentially just ask for donations to be read up until the end of this stage, which was like a minute and a half. And then you would end up doing it kind of rinsing and repeating there. For the next stage, talk about it a little bit, and then go to that. So we'll just kind of be quiet for this, because this would be where donations would be read here.
Yeah. Okay. Tell the girls not to knock over bags in the floor. Or throw the bag away.
All right, so that was the end of Warehouse Woes number 1, and now we're moving into Warehouse Woes number 2. So much more of the same. So I would talk about just kind of the intro here again, going through how the stage here with like the boxes. We're gonna go left and right. We're gonna dodge. There's more and more enemies, more platforms. How we can just drive over the center of every gap here. So anytime we see a gap, we can actually drive over the middle of it, and we're always gonna get to the side, regardless of the platform is there or not, based on our speed. So we're always fast enough, regardless of going through there. Enemy movement's a little more like what seemed. It's not random. It's always the same, but it's more sporadic. So the first time you play this, it's definitely a lot harder to go through that. But then again, I would just be like, now if there's any more donations for this, we can keep reading off some donations until we get to the boss fight. And we jam out to some fantastic music.
Two more spots. Spot 14 kind of sucks. Spot gets me. So I've never died there, but I've always got scared on a spot here. Just kind of get a far enough forward to smart blocks. Unless this is
All right, we're getting close to the end here. So we're make sure we're gonna keep going left and right, dodging all these boxes. Again, these levels are some of the longer levels as well, especially the vehicle levels. And then right when you're at the end of the game, you can lose some focus. So this is actually pretty hard to like maintain some great focus on here, because you're just like, all right, you have two of the hardest platforming stages coming up next. The boss fight's not super hard, so it's just kind of like, again, just muscle memory, just getting through it. But then you got this stage, and I swear if you stare at this long enough, your eyes just start going like weird. And you're just like, oh my goodness, start tripping out. So now here it is. Once we get to this, we get to the end of this doorway, and that is the end of Warehouse Woes 2. Now, Warehouse Woes 3 is a boss fight, but it's not technically a boss fight. So I know, I think I said at the beginning of the game, we don't actually take any intentional deaths, and we actually took one to catch a cycle. We do take a, I believe we're going to take another one here, as well, as because this boss is just a vehicle, and we just got to get to the end of the stage. So it's another just essentially driving stage. However, you're dodging this guy back and forth, so I'm going to swerve as much as I can, because swerving left and right allows you to stay farther behind. If you don't, you can actually run into the back of that vehicle and you die. So you just go too fast. You can be too good at the game and dodging everything, because it always comes out in the same spot every time. So you can be too good at the game and hit the back of the boss and end up dying. And being that much closer really isn't that, like, I mean, it'd be what, like a second to get to where the boss is at, maybe 2 seconds. So it's not worth it, and it's so much harder to react and have all that stuff memorized there. So I swerve a bunch. Some people will end up going really, really fast and then get to that checkpoint I just crossed, die on purpose. That boss gets shot forward, and then it's kind of the same thing as kind of swerving there, I guess, for what you're doing. But then when the boss gets launched up there, you can see it's about the end of the stage. He's going to hit a bunch of the TNT or danger crates at the end. We get to the wall, and then we have finally entered the final 3 stages of the game. We are now in Shocking Truth number 1. So Shocking Truth 1 and 2 are the 2 hardest platforming stages in the entire game. Alright, the difficulty just ramps up tremendously, even from packing in 1 and 2. So there's a lot of these sections coming up that there's not really any floor like the entire section. Like, you can go left or right, you can fall through a bunch of pits. So we get introduced to these green enemies. They're like the blowfish, so they can pop out. You can get killed by them by running into them. They have this guy, same robots that we've seen a bunch of. We got these electric floor panels. You can actually clear those. You have this section here that has like this electricity going that climbs in there. This is all on a bunch of cycles here, and it can be super hard to maintain the cycle that you want. All right. So this whole section here, this level more than any level is just don't die. If you die, you can get into a really bad rhythm, and it's super unfortunate for what you're doing. So we're going to keep pushing forward here. We're going to wait for that to go through there. We're going to hit this checkpoint here. Now this here, once this goes, we can just kind of go forward. We can actually jump off of those green enemies to beat those cycles. But it's super precise and super hard. Same thing with this. Once that turns off, I can just go, because they end up beating me out here through that. This guy here, I'm just going to take it and run, and I'm just going to keep running forward. It's up in the 3rd part, and we just get underneath it. Now we get to the outside portion here. So that's the portion here. It has these like laser circle things here, like little clocks. So as you can see, the laser's on there, and sometimes it does turn off. So we're going to try to time that up nicely for that when it's going. And when they turn back on, they're normally in a similar spot that they were at. We activate these platforms here. We get launched off of that because the platform was coming up, so you see how high we got. Now we got a spring power up, and we're going to go to the right since we have the spring power up here. So instead of having to go to the left, do more of the electricity here. A couple of jumps, and allows us to skip over some of the sections there. I take damage with my helmet, which is just fine. Get the spring power up to activate these platforms, so we can just get launched forward here. We can launch off of this to get to this checkpoint here, and I believe this is the last checkpoint of this first section here. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep running off this platform here. We can get launched off of this even if we get too late. We don't, and we're still good. Boom, first section's done. No deaths. That is the way that we like that there. All right.
Well, that should be okay. I don't know if I got the pacing on
So now we are in the Shocking Truth 2. On this, it has no floors except for the platforms that we're landing on. So it's tons of bottomless pits here that you can end up dying into. And these platforms, again, momentum is I'm waiting for that momentum to carry you certain directions before I jump. Because again, if I were to jump too soon or too late, my momentum's different from what I would like. So I'm going to jump off of that because it shoot me left. So I'm going to jump, and it took me left there. I shot forward before it ended. We're going to go through here because we can actually go through this, and we can just spin underneath this. For whatever reason, you don't actually die to any of that for that spot there. So we're going to keep walking forward. We're dodging that. So we want to jump in place. So weird thing about moving platforms, if you jump and you just jump and don't hold the direction pad, you just jump up and down in the exact same place that you were at. So you don't have to worry about like holding forward a little bit to like, oh, I'm going forward, I got to hold forward. No, you don't want to do that. You just jump. You just hold neutral. You technically don't hold neutral. You go neutral on the D-pad. And then go through that there. Waiting for these cycles here continuously, get this platform going. Again, we're just going to jump up and it lands in the same spot. We'll wait for that section to end so we can walk underneath it. Once we land, this one doesn't move until we land. That would also be a helmet power up. We want to launch forward to catch that cycle there. That's very finicky. Again, we just jump and spin through the bottom of that so we can go through it unharmed. Spin that brown box, and we're going to keep going through here. We're going to just go because those turn on really, really fast. And they turn off really fast as well. So we're going to jump on all these platforms here. Or platforms, all the boxes to avoid the electricity underneath. We hit this checkpoint. Now this is some of the worst sections of the game. Right here are these platforms. They have momentum. So as you can see on that ground, it's pushing you in and out. It's pushing it out. Those are the platforms that has momentum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to specific spots on this that allows me to stop moving here. We super sped up that cycle. Just great movement there to keep that here. Again, we're going to get on these here. So we're going to come up. You're going to see me stop on this spot up here. I stop moving so that way my momentum is 0. So I don't have to worry about getting flung forward or backwards depending on the section here. We're going to wait for this to come all the way around, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run to this platform. I'm not going to jump to it because, again, we have that weird momentum. We jump over the danger crate. We keep going forward here, and we're going to reach the very end of the Shocking Truth 2. Coming to break right here. We get to the end, and boom, we're done. A very long stage. Very, very long stage. Very high, high risk stage there as well. So now we're in the final boss fight of the game. Boss fight is one of the easier boss fights. They've all been pretty easy, to be honest. But this one's pretty easy in itself. So what we're going to do here is we're going to jump on the first. We're going to actually wait here because the electricity is on that. So when the electricity goes, we get launched forward. I'm going to launch into the middle and go right middle. Go back to the right middle, and it's around. I jump around the last bolt, and when I come in here and stage and game and time, can't even speak it, and then we show the final cutscene, which we'd always let that play out, any percent or cutscene percent or not. We would let this play out so that way you can kind of just see what this is. But again, I would have, when I submit this, I'm going to submit this with the incentive of doing the cutscene percent, which would add about like 10 minutes onto the speedrun.